All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to tonight's live stream. We're going to have one of our regional hammers on this evening here in a few minutes, Mr. Troy Wines from Lynchburg, Virginia. But before we get to that, let's cover what we got going on right now in the region. We got our rivers down. I was at the Point of Rocks today. The Point of Rocks gauge is at like 1.2. The river's just really, really down, the upper Potomac. And most of our rivers in the region are pretty down. I mean, this is normal summer gauge pool, without any of the high water. We haven't had a lot of rain. Did not have a lot of rain in the month of June, believe it or not. Now we're into July, starting today. And we still haven't gotten that rain. So our rivers are really, really down. The water is really clear, though. So that's been a kind of a situation, but the fish are getting caught, whether it's the upper Potomac, the Monocacy. A lot of guys are catching some big smallies in the Monocacy. The New River continues to outperform. Have seen a bunch of catches coming in now from some other rivers that we don't normally, we haven't really seen or talk about, the Rappahannock and the Rapidan. So that's Central Virginia and then east of 95. For smallmouth. So it's really, really just great to kind of see it all over the region. But we are dealing with some severe low water, which is kind of, we did this for 8-9 straight weeks in 2023. So I'm hoping it's not going to be that going forward. But I did get a bunch of questions that were asked, a couple of the other TikToks and shorts about some of the baits utilizing. Going into July 4th, coming up this week on Thursday, make sure you take advantage of that promo right there. Power Queen, 12.8 amp, 100 amp battery. Power Queen sponsors the channel, sponsors the podcast, sponsors the Smallie Chaser River Bassin series. Great guys over there at Power Queen. You can take advantage of that promo code. Will also get you another $10 more off. You'll be at $209 for a 12.8 volt, 100 amp Power Queen. If you have any questions about the battery, there are plenty of guys that have won this battery in the Smallie Chaser River Bassin series that you can contact, and you can get their take on the battery, or you can contact me via Facebook Messenger, and I'll set you up with what my take. Those of us that have had other batteries in the past compared to now, why we love the Power Queen battery. Second thing we got going on tonight is giveaway night, beginning of the month. We got 2 giveaways. We're going to give away some of our friends at 6 cents, a bunch of 6 cent baits we got. We got some Divine swim baits, 3.2, 3.6, 3.8, sorry. And we also got some underspins in. So all you got to do is really like the channel, like the podcast, share the podcast, do the drill, comment on the podcast, but make sure that you're following the channel, you're liking and subscribing on YouTube, either the Smallie Chaser channel or JL Scott Fishing and Eats. This is kind of broadcast on both. And make sure that you actually follow Troy Bassin Around, the fishing page for our guest tonight, so we can get you in that for some of the free 6 cents. And then we also have, crazy as it sounds, an SK 5000, 471 gear ratio on this spinning reel. Okay, and I have to tell you, this is a kind of crazy reel for what you pay for it. Okay, and you can find these reels now almost in like TikTok and Temu and probably all those places and online and stuff like that. So I had a few sent to me and I've been trying it out. This one is the 5000. I've tried out the 2000 and the 3000, and I've had 0 issues with them for reels that are probably like $40 reels, which is crazy. This reel right here, this one, really the 4000, and this one remind me a lot in terms of weight in terms of just on my rod, remind me a lot of the Spyrex from Shimano. I'm not saying it performs like my Shimano, okay? But it gets the job done. And so no hookup, I haven't lost any hookups on the other reels that I've tried. So we're going to give away this SK 5000 tonight, okay? And I'll ship it out to you, and you can give it a go, and you can give it your own product review for it. Inshore or Potomac River, James River out there in the bay, upper bay, don't matter. This is a heavy duty reel. It gets it done. Like I said, I've fished really the 2s, the 3s, and the 4s inshore and in river systems. They work fine. They're a little bit bigger, but we're gonna give this away tonight. But in order for the giveaway tonight, I want to make sure I will check for the giveaway that you have commented, you have liked on this channel, and you have followed Mr. Troy Bassin around. Okay, who's taking his time to come on tonight and talk about KBF, talk about the championship for KBF. If you have any questions about this, you can put it in the chat about this reel. And we're going to talk about that. So don't forget the Power Cream batter, as well as going into the 4th of July, what we got coming up, crazy deals going on, because it's the 4th of July. You know what that happens, and that's really all we got for the rest of the summer, right after Father's Day. I got some for Father's Day, and I got to tell you, I'm gonna try and put this up. I'm not sure. I think it'll work. But you want to take advantage of this. For all of y'all out there who are on TikTok, okay, watching fishing videos and doing all that stuff like I do on TikTok, and you haven't bought anything on TikTok, on either somebody's TikTok shop or any of the brands, this G Money bundle from 6 Cents is on TikTok right now. I know I checked earlier this morning. There's really not that many left. But if you've never bought anything on TikTok shop before, this is about $80, $90 worth of hard baits, frogs, terminal tackle, crankbaits, soft baits, like the ones I showed you here, okay, that are in this bundle. It's listed on TikTok Shop for $49.99. So you're already saving 50% off there. But if you've never bought anything on TikTok Shop before and you go on TikTok, hit that QR code and freaking grab it for 50% off. So for $25, you're going to get $90 worth of 6 Cents. Okay. 6 Cents is a pretty well-known brand, popular brand. The shop's got some Milliken rods in there. It's also got Milliken's travel bundle in there. You can check them out in the showcase. You can go to my TikTok and look at my showcase for those, or you can just go on yourself and find it on TikTok. But you want to take advantage of that for the 4th of July, the deal of the week, because you can get that at 50% off, 50% off. So it's like nuts that you're going to get $90 worth of 6 Cents baits for about $25, free shipping. Just saying, just throwing it out there. That's what we got going on for that. And then I'm going to roll Mr. Wines in here, and I'm going to throw up one of the companies that Troy is pro staff for, our friends at Tactical Fishing Company. And hopefully that'll pop that up. And you can go on Tactical Fishing Company's website. I'm pretty sure Andrew's got that thing back up now after moving down south. And you can use Troy's promo code for 10% off at Tactical Fishing Company. Okay. You can also use the same promo code, Bassin Around 10, for Tiger crankbaits, which is is local to us in Virginia. Great crankbaits. I'll let Troy talk about those crankbaits if he wants to talk about it tonight. I know he's caught plenty of bass with those crankbaits, and they got some pretty cool designs no one else seems to be doing. So you can also use that same promo code, Bassin Around 10, to get 10% off your order from the good folks at Tiger Crankbaits. That's what I got for you here. We're going to bring Troy in. I'll leave that up so you guys can see that during the during this stream tonight. And let's get Troy up in here and talk a lot about what's been going on with some smallmouth fishing in the region. Let me see. All right, let's do it. Click on that. Hopefully we're going to pop right up in here. We'll be able to talk to Troy tonight. Right, Mr. Wines.
Hey, how you doing?
Wines.
Hey,
what is going on? Let me move this up. We'll go side by side here. I'm going to take this off, and that way it'll be a little bit bigger screen for everybody. And we can talk about this crazy quest that you are on. There we go. This year, for those of you guys who don't know, Troy is on a quest for 30, okay? A journey for 2024, quest for 30 to catch 30 smallmouth bass, citation size, Now in Virginia, don't know about your state, but in Virginia and in Maryland, a citation smallmouth is by length is 20 inches or more. Okay. So he's on this quest to catch 30, which is piggybacking last year. So that's just going to set this up. Troy, you want to introduce yourself, talk a little bit about what you want to talk about, and then we'll get into this KBF Smallmouth Series Championship.
All righty. Hey, everybody. Troy Basson around here, a.k.a. Troy Wines. Got a lot of folks I hope is watching this evening. Thank you for supporting this channel. Thanks for supporting me through all the years of getting out here and just, doing what I love is fishing. And as JL said, awesome sponsors that I have that's helped me achieve that as well. Give a shout out to them now and knock that on out of the way. Of course, Tactical Fishing. Great soft plastics. I'm hoping to throw a frog on the 4th of July. I'm actually going somewhere special. Again, you said Tiger crankbaits. Not only are they just not known for their crankbaits, they will make you about anything custom. Believe me, I'm throwing some top water stuff that I'm not going to share the juice, but they're just not only just a crankbait company. Of course, hook gear as well. They keep me cool on the water. Wild Wear America, same thing. Rocking the new Smalley Chaser jersey right here, Power Queen on the front. Cortalis custom rods. As far as the rods go, hands down, my favorite is what I got in my hand. And then fish hog lures. Man, so many smallmouth, so many citations caught by just throwing those spinnerbait. I'm a spinnerbait guy, so I can't hide the blades. I fab mine up, and that's the great thing about fish hog. You can actually get them apart and work for whatever watercolor you want. So they got a lot of great designs and all that. So
yeah, that's awesome. So let's back. Let's talk a little bit about the journey so far.
Yep.
So to bring people up to speed here, because you've only been fishing out of a kayak now for 4 years.
4 years. Yeah, four seasons.
Right.
Yep, 4 seasons. When COVID hit and they sent out that money, I never quit working. I was always constantly still out there. But, I said, what am I going to do with this money? So I said, I'm going to go buy me a kayak. And I didn't realize how much fun I was going to have by just kayak bass fishing. I've always been a bass fishing from where my father would take us out fishing when we were young. If it was either, going to lakes or sneaking into ponds, it did not make a difference. We went out and we had a great time. And I got into kayak bass fishing. Myself, I started out, be honest with you, on the Maury River. I grew up over that way, just to kind of get my feel of everything. And then next thing you know, I was going out there throwing small stuff, catching small fish. And I'm like, what? I want to catch big fish. And I said, you know what? And so myself and my next door neighbor, Zach Hammersmith, we said, let's take it up the next level. Let's actually go make some fishing pages. Let's go make some videos, and let's see if we can go catch big fish. And so I started out with that. My first year, I caught 16 over 20 inches long. Then I jumped into the second season of fishing. I went to 17 citations. And then this last season for 2023, I, got, 29 citations. And, and it's, I kind of been known to catching, big fish when no one else is catching the big fish. Right. And I just think a lot of it's just, a lot of time on the water and stuff. And so, when I sit here and thought about, some of my goals for 2024, of course, was, to help to be a part of your trail and to be a part, finish the goal with KBF and the Smallmouth and the River Series. I was like, let's start a quest. Let's don't talk about it at first. Let's see what we go out to do. Of course, you've pushed me to the limit of being out there fishing earlier what I wanted to be. So the quest actually started in February with that 21.5-inch smallmouth.
Right.
And so, so it's now we're up to 26. We haven't even got into the fall yet, where I caught most of my fish last year in the fall. And I caught my bigger ones in the spring, and of course the monster we'll talk about in a few in the summer. But it's I think it's going to be a goal we're going to meet. I've kind of been relaxing the last couple of weeks, so just to give a warning out, I am returning to the water tomorrow. It is going to be full shock and awe. And it's I already saw Matt Shepard today, my bro, and I said, hey, shock and awe is coming. So we're gonna be out on the water giving it, because we got to catch some fish. But I mean, that's what the quest starts. So the quest is just a personal goal. I'm hoping to, be able to hit that 30. A lot of guys say I'm going to hit 40. I'm going to hit 50. Right now, let's just get to 30, and then we'll see how it goes from there.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about 4 years in a kayak. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about your first kayak platform, the kayak you started, that first kayak that you bought, and then how you transitioned to today, 4 years later, and what you're running now, what you like to run. Mm-hmm. I know you and I both it's amazing to hear the stories from different people on. There really is a crazy amount of different ways to fish. You know what I mean? From a kayak, power guys, you know what I mean, or slow and methodic. We got to kind of equal a lot of mix of all this in our club, in our series of guys that just kind of, we say fish different because, I think you're a lot like me. You won't pass up a chance to wade fish to get a big smallie. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Don't matter whether it's in the kayak or out of the kayak. But talk to us about, that first kayak all the way now to what you're running today, and and talk about the differences between them, or what you liked about the different brands. Because you didn't mention a brand sponsor, so you don't have to worry about that. You could just drop the juice on what river kayaks, you like to run and you prefer running.
Well, myself, when I first started, I went, and I did not have a clue what I needed to get. So I actually got 2 kayaks. I bought a Pelican because it was lightweight, and I wanted to be able to access, roadside entries and stuff like that. I could slide it right down the bank and go. So I actually went and got a Pelican. I think it was like a 100 SX or something like that they call. It had two little poles in the back that I can drop, take 3 fishing poles with me, tie my bag down. So that was kind of my thing with that. And then I did research because I was like, I needed one for a motor because I wanted to fish some lakes and things like that. And so then I went and bought a Vibe, and I still have, and to be honest with you, I still have them both. You don't want to see the Pelican. It has a lot of scars and duct tape.
I bet.
I'm telling you, it's Hammersmith and I put them through the test. But then I got the Vibe. And then when I picked up the Vibe, I went and I added the trolling motor on it. I did not realize I didn't have no one to help. Like, I was trying to watch videos online. What's the best kayak? This and this and that. What should I do for accessories? I had nothing. But luckily, I was, I met some guys out on the water by being able to patrol. I was out on the Stanton River actually fishing, and I ran into this guy, and he's like, you're catching a whole lot of fish. Have you ever thought about tournament fishing and this and this and that? And so turned me on to the tournament fishing, because I've only been in the tournament scene for 2.5 seasons and doing that. But so anyway, so I got the Vibe. I ran that. It's heavy. I had the motor on the back of it, and it's really heavy. Now, as I learned more and stuff like that, I said I want a better river kayak, as far as I can still pick up, throw on my shoulders. I'm a big dude, so it's easy for me to do. So I picked up a Hoodoo. Absolutely love the Hoodoo. 10-footer. I think you had one as well.
Yep.
And so I started running the Hoodoo, and be able to do that on all the skinny waters. I didn't care if I tear it up. I can. It has 2 storages on the unit itself, and I got that. And then I ended up picking up a Wilderness kayak that I have. So I have a Wilderness that has the Newport vessel motor on that. So I'm actually now using that one, because that one's actually easier than taking the Vibe, because I can actually now lift up the motor. Because I had just a trolling motor on the back of the Vibe.
Right.
And then now I actually have a Bonafide. I have not even taken the Bonafide and broke the water with that. So I keep on, getting all these kayaks and all that stuff like that. But a few of them are going to go up for sale, because I'm just, I don't need that many. But I think I'm gonna. But like I said, I've just learned over the years by just making friends, and lucky, like I say, my buddy Matthew Shepard, who knows a lot about freaking kayaks, has really helped me out in trying to understand what I want to run. But for me, it's a 10-foot kayak in the river. I'm not a big fan of a 12-footer unless I'm covering, still water and trying to get to where I'm going at. But if not, you're going to see me. I'm just like you. I'm wading. If you look at my last video I put up, the kayak's moving. I'm catching a fish. I'm wading. I'm able to pop out of that kayak and do what I need to do.
Yeah, Tony Bryant's in the chat, and I'm assuming he means for you to go live tomorrow from the water. I saw your video. It's awesome earlier this week. And I think that gives people, that kind of like content gives people like a real true like understanding. I know a lot of people, when people talk to me about you or hit me up and ask me about you, it's like, I don't think they understand the hours in between
Mm-hmm.
or the days in between the 21s, you know what I mean, in the 20s. That it's technology sometimes leads us to believe that it's like every other cast, you know what I mean, and it's really not. I think videos like that, when you go live for like an hour or whatever, really give people the idea to appreciate how much water you're covering, you know what I mean, but also really like, you know, what it takes to dial in, especially this time of year. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I mean, most people, like in my neck of the woods, you know, you're going to get into those 20s in the fall. You know what I mean? You're not. I mean, so when someone throws up a 20, 21 in June or like this month coming up, like in the Summer Chase series going on right now, I'm going to take that. To me, that's like crazy because it just doesn't happen that much, right? Because the water, I said earlier before you came on, the water up here at, you know, one of the big gauges everybody uses is 1.2 feet. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean? You're out there, but like they can see you. You know what I mean? It's clear water. They can hear you, see you. You know what I mean? And they get spooked really easily. So, you know, I think, you know, watching you on live, people really get, I think will get a much more of appreciation for like what it takes out, you know, to really hunt down 26, 27 citations, right? Like,
I mean, I don't find them every time. I mean, I went out this past Saturday and there were so many gars. I've never seen so many gars in my life. I'm talking about schools of 10 gar and just everywhere. And I think they were running the smallmouth way because I actually had 3 of them bust my spinnerbait. But I caught 17 smallmouth. You know, I didn't. One of them flopped off the board because I made a mistake and tried to measure it in the middle of the river. Normally, I go to the side bank and measure all my fish because smallmouth is just mean and they like to jump. But I ended up catching 17. A lot of short fish, a lot of 12-inch. I didn't even submit them because I'm like, I'm gonna call that. Never mind. But it's hard. I mean, because especially when you get a reputation of catching big fish and everything. You know, everyone thinks every time you go out. I mean, I catch so many 19-inch fish that it is so stinking funny. I could go back through, and you can go back through because you call my fish, and that's what my dad said one time. You know, hey, if they were 21-inch citations, you'd be catching 20s all the time. So, and I do, and it's so many that I know that it's our water is great, our water's pure. That we're going to have the chance to catch those 20-inch fish later on. Because, like I say, I got a lot of records of 18s and 19s, and that's one of my biggest focus that I have as well. Is I document everything, so I know where I caught those 19s at. So now they should hopefully have grown to 20, so I could try to get back and catch them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where that's really comes down to why the smallmouth, you know, the Smalley Chaser River Bassin series really exists, is because there's, to me, being grown up in Virginia and always smalley chasing, there always had seemed been a disconnect between, there wasn't really a level of appreciation I think that Virginia deserves. You know what I mean? And West Virginia, really. I mean, in terms of small, it's, you know what I mean? Because a lot of times there weren't very many events, like big events, and, you know, it would draw attention. You know, they go to Cayuga, they go to Susquehanna, they go to like big name, you know, fisheries that the pros fish on, and you know, in the big boats, right? And people like think St. Lawrence, and they think, which are all great fisheries, Lake Erie, they're all great fisheries. Don't get me wrong, but it was like to highlight the fact that, you know what, smallmouth fishing in this part of the region is absolutely phenomenal. You know what I mean? And the only way you can do that is to consistently change the narrative with anglers like you that even have the Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources scratching their heads thinking, where are all these big fish? Because they don't show up in their survey, right? You know what I mean? And that's because people like you are going to places where they're not electro surveying, right? You're going 20 miles away from a ramp. You know what I'm saying? You're going way, and a lot of times, you know, you've talked about some of the rivers to me personally that I would just consider to be unpressured water. Right?
Yep, exactly.
They're literally 15, 16 miles from a ramp. And most people just aren't doing that. They're not, you know, they don't have that kind of like chase mindset to go. Speak a little bit to everyone about, you know, we've had a couple conversations over the last few years about how the smallies move and how you can catch your 21s here today, but kind of like, but don't think that you can come back next week or 2 weeks or a month later and find them still there. Right?
Exactly. I mean, I'll just give you, examples of some of the rivers. I mean, one of the best things about catching all these citations that I've caught, they have everyone says, "Oh, he fishes the James. He fishes the James." We both know I don't just fish the James. It's a lot of rivers, and and those fish, they're with smallmouth, they're travelers, and I can, what I've learned to do is read gauges. Look at gauges. I mean, myself and Mike Brown will talk about a lot of the gauge levels, because then we know if the smallmouth are swimming in, to go in to chase the bait fish, or if they're swimming out and going back down to deeper water and stuff like that. So, we'll just go into the James River. We have a lot of dams this way. And so a lot of the dams are electrical dams that make money off of them and all that stuff like that. And so, they're completely controlled all the time. So you never know the water flux, the water level, and as I learned lately, make sure you're not in the way when they open up the gates. But it's
yeah, guys, you need to check that video out. I'm not gonna get into that with him, because that's triggering. That's triggering for me. But he did a video about that experience. You guys can check that out on. Go ahead and follow Troy at Troy Bassing Around and watch him talk about that experience when they opened up that water on that dam. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. But it's amazing to me that by being out on the water and studying the water and knowing everything, trying to know everything about how the fish is reacting, that water levels are going to change with the smallmouth itself. I mean, I think you're always going to catch 12-inch fish. You're always going to catch 14-inch fish. They're going to be moving in. But as far as the big fish goes, you better pay attention to the water levels, because these fish do travel. They're not like largemouths, where largemouths tend to just stay in their areas and stuff like that. Of course, they will move with the baits as well, if the shad are spawning and stuff. But as far as the smallmouths go, what I've learned is, it's just the study of the water, knowing your water levels, and because these things will travel. Because believe me, they're there one day, and you go back the next, they are gone.
Yeah. So. I mean, I think one of the coolest things, when people contact me about you is, and I tell them, I was like, well, he lives in Lynchburg.
Yep.
And like, if you grab a map and you do a 100-mile radius around Lynchburg, Virginia, you got like 5-6 rivers, right? Like that, depending on what those gauges are reading, tell you exactly what you need to know, right? Like I'm going fishing tomorrow. You said you're going fishing tomorrow. You can check the gauges out tonight, and you already, because you have so much experience on all these rivers in this part of the region, you can almost already kind of know what the conditions are going to be when you arrive at that ramp, right? Like, and you can decide, hey, I'm not going to go here. I'm going to go here because I know, based on the water levels. And I think, and again, I mean when people talk to me and I talk to people, it's like experience, man. Like, you got to put the time in, like,
and that's like the area I went to Saturday, and I've put up a couple videos on. I have not found the fish in there that great right now. It's more of I found it great in the fall and the wintertime. And I believe just due to the fact of the matter that the smallmouth haven't traveled up that way yet. And it could be due to water levels and stuff like that that's going on with it. So, and it could be me. I actually stumbled on this place last fall myself. So I don't really know. I could be wrong. But, right now the numbers have not been there. And I keep telling myself every time I come out here, it's like, why are you out here? Come back in the fall. And I'm probably not going to come back until later on in the year, because I've just not been finding the numbers, because I don't think the smallmouth are in that area yet, just because I've seen a lot of the other fish. And it could be just because of the food isn't there yet. So, and that's just, but I'm not going to stop fishing it. And hopefully I'm going to put up a bunch of big numbers for you in the fall in that one controlled area. So.
Yeah, I just think, July, I don't know how you feel about it, but I think July is the absolute probably toughest. I know a lot of people think it's August. I actually think it's July is like just the toughest, at least going for where I fish. It just is. It could be an absolute, you could get one really good solid fish on the day, but be out there for 6-7 hours. Like,
exactly.
It's just, and when the rivers are low, it just makes it, where your dog walk in the kayak, you're in the heat, and you're drinking plenty of water, and people forget about all that. People forget about all. They just see the beautiful picture, on a Yak Attack leaderboard or a catch board, and forget about everything that went in on that day during the summertime to catch.
Well, we can get into that with the KBF stuff as well, because I mean, the summertime for me, I don't, outside of fighting the heat and all the stuff like that, I enjoy it. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to go out here and hang some 20s up here in the next week or two, in July, because I think I can find them. I kind of got a good idea of where to go look for them,
right.
and when we get into the KBF stuff, we'll just we can run through each of the events and all that stuff like that, and we can talk about because that kicked off last year in the summer months, and
Yeah.
and man, we did pretty good.
So, for those of you guys who don't know, KBF, Kayak Bass Fishing. I know most people tuning in know what Kayak Bass Fishing is, the organization. And like Troy said, Kayak Bass Fishing's kind of going through some pains, growing pains and other pains over the last decade. And so they last year they rolled out 2 brand new series. Most people have always been familiar with the Trail series and the Challenge series. And they've had they've had a couple other series for charity and for those things. But last year they rolled out 2 brand new series, one being the River series, and which is obviously river only, but multi-species, multi-black bass, meaning largemouth. I think they largemouth, smallmouth, spot. I think everything, right?
Just those 3
in that series, and then the smallmouth series, which was smallmouth only. And so they kind of rolled those out as kind of like 2 new kinds of series. And Troy fished in both of them. Okay. And so it's just kind of interesting to kind of in that mindset, because as a tournament, it's a tournament, guys. Don't get me wrong. I know it's not, a single day tournament. These are 30-day, 45-day tournaments. Okay.
Sometimes 3 months.
Yeah, sometimes 3 months. So you gotta. How do you have the tournament mindset of, okay, I'm competing against people fishing for smallmouth, and then you go and enter a river series where guys down in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee River, Texas, they're all fishing for largemouth, right? Yep. And so it's like you're thinking, you got to put up, a massive amount, and so. What do you have a different mindset for both those, or you just go out and fish? Like you're just
I just go out and fish, because you know what? I want those largemouth guys to know who I am, because look, I know I'm not going to beat you, guy. I'm not, but I want you to know
you came close though.
That the 106 inches that I just put up here in the last leg of this tournament is not a River Series championship, but I put up 106 inches, bro. And that's smallmouth, and so and also too.
He came in third.
And
that tells you the 106 inches. Now, what event out there you could think of? A guy goes and slays all citations, all smallmouth for 106 inches, and he comes in third.
And also, too, we were the only angler in both events, both the smallmouth series and the river series, to go over 100 every time. So three legs of the river over 100 inches every time, 4 legs of the smallmouth series over 100 every time. And that's to say that, the river series, I never went in to win that. I just wanted to be able to say, hey, these fish here are take a darn good look at them, man, because they are going to be able to run right there next to you. And that's what I did. I mean, I just had fun. I enjoyed doing the river series. We end up winning the I don't think we win anything, but we end up, getting the points win with that, as far as, just by being consistent over the 3 things that we done. And so and win the river series. So I was proud to be able to be the points leader at the end of the day with that. But I will tell you, the largemouth guys, they are great. You don't realize how many of them send me messages on Instagram. They tell me all the time, dude, you are a freaking hammer with these smallmouth. Right. I just had a guy from Missouri messaging me who's catches 6-7 pound largemouths all the time. He's like, dude, I've never caught a smallmouth. Can you tell me how to catch a smallmouth? And I gave him some tips to try on the Missouri River and everything to give him a shot at catching one. And like I said, he just found me by just looking and seeing my numbers and everything that I put up with KBF. But, as far as KBF goes, let me say this right now. When I did get into the kayak industry, I didn't know anything fishing industry. I didn't know anything about Hobie. I didn't know anything about Bassmasters. What I read and what I saw, which I saw the Bill Dance of our industry,
right.
Chad Hoover. And so I took it as a just to be able to fish KBF, and because you don't realize when you look at if you go back and if everybody looks at these series that went down, we had pro anglers fishing in this. We had Christine Fisher, I think she was in it, and everything. We had different folks, and I'm gonna leave tons of names out. They showed up and they fished in the smallmouth series and the river series with us and everything. So KBF to me, it's a big deal. And I mean, prove me wrong. That's what I say. I know they, like you said, people say what they want to say, but KBF is a name. You say the name, everybody knows KBF. And I know there's a lot of new series that are popping up, and everybody is famous for. I mean, going crazy about it. But I mean, like I say, to me, it was a blessing to be able to be and fish anything with KBF, and to be a KBF series champion, especially in the smallmouth. I mean, it's been hard to take my grin off my face,
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I wouldn't disagree with anything you said, because 4 years ago, or even if you even go before COVID hit, I mean, yeah, there was Hobie, there were obviously some other big regional. We have Queen City down in the south, and Elite up in the Northeast. There are obviously reputable regional series, but as far as someone first getting into kayaking with their first kayak, okay, making that leap, and then to make the jump into competitive tournaments, right? Because it's tournaments. You're competing against each other, other people. I've always said it's basically that bridge of transition of it's a community, right? It's not like an event. It's more of a community. And that I think is what differentiates KBF. And I understand people have their issues, but most of the people that I talk to that have issues with KBF are uber competitive anglers competing at the highest level. And kudos to them, because I just don't think that is KBF. Like, to me, sure, it's had its competitive trail stop series and things like that, which started, in my opinion, springboarded other series, and I just think it is. I think it provides people the challenge series, the monthlies, and then these kind of events that you had an opportunity, to fish in. And I say it to people, it's like, I don't see any of the other series. No knock on them. Their priority is single multi-day events once a month. That's their priority. They're not doing anything, outside of that, right? They're event-driven organizations, right? Not community-based. So,
I see Mike Brown saying something about a fish finder. Absolutely, man. No fish finder. No live scoping on the river, man.
No live scoping on the river.
No good. So we just use it for water temperature, and we just use it for depth. That's all we do.
Yeah, I don't think the live scope companies are going to be coming out to the upper Potomac anytime soon when it's 1.2 feet. You know what I mean? Like, again, it just depends on where you live and where you fish. You know what I mean? Most of the guys that I know, other than outside of kayak tournament anglers, okay, competitive at the toppest, that are competing in all over the country in lakes and rivers. Predominantly most of the people that have live scope in my area are lake guys. They're lake and reservoir guys. They're not river guys,
I guess.
Because you just can't really utilize it, but maybe 2 months, 3 months, maybe in the fall a little bit, but during the summertime. So for the river series, so everybody knows, Troy in the fall of 2023 finished in second place in the river series. With 101.25. Now, again, this is the one competing against people from all over the country, largemouth, okay? And then in the spring, he finished third with 102.5, again, over 100 inches. And then he just completed the third leg with 106, okay? And finished third place. And I think you have big fish in that?
No, I didn't get big fish. Are you kidding me? Those Louisiana guys.
You had you had big fish. You had big fish in
the smallmouth series.
Twice. 2 or 3 of the smallmouth legs, right?
Twice. We'll get into that. Yep. So with those 3, all in the top 3 finishes gives us, since we're not having a championship, we're going to call ourselves, the River Series points champion. So
right, the AOI points leader for the River Series. I'll be honest, I throw it both ways. I was a little disappointed. I was really hoping I know there was talk about there being a river championship on the James River, which was would have been awesome, right?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
all right, bring it. And then, things happen. So there's not going to be a River Series championship. So I was a little disappointed in that because I really feel like the James River is one of the rivers that most people know for the title, James. Like MLF was just down on the James for Bass Pro Tour. Most people just think largemouth, title, James when they think James River. And a lot like the Potomac, I think. But there's just so much to the middle James and the upper James for smallmouth. It would have been great to have a River Series championship on that river,
Yep.
and to be to do that, it would be really great. Yep. So let's talk smallmouth.
Yes, that's what we're here for.
This
Everybody
is the bread and
wants
butter. This is the bread and
Yep.
butter now. Smallmouth. Yep. The smallmouth series started last summer. Yes. About this time, didn't it? Didn't it start like around
somewhere like that?
May, June, right? May, June, yeah. I think it was. And so they had a summer, a fall, a spring, and the championship. So kind of roll us through about the challenges in terms of you fished obviously all four.
Yep.
So 4 different seasons, 4 totally different environments for smallies. Yep. Take us through from last summer to this summer. And what you learned out on the water and what your experience was.
Well, shout out to everybody to fish the smallmouth series. I mean, first of all, I want to tell John Brooks, I wish you fished the championship. It'd been a great battle. And then my buddy Eric to finish second in the championship. I want to give him a shout out. Hopefully he gets to see this. But it was a challenge in the series as far as the summer and the fall, because just like last year, we went through a drought. And so, I got off in the summer series as a hot start. I mean, I led that summer series almost, all the way through towards the end of the tournament. And then, it is one of those things that, David got, I can't think of his last name. He got on a hot thing and he ended up winning it by a little over an inch and all that stuff like that. But, but I led it most all the way through. And of course, it ain't how you start, it's how you finish. But what I did was I just, it allowed me, because I put a lot of work in, to build throughout the year and know what I was going to do when we got to the championship round later on. But that summer month was tough because we went through a drought. But, we landed the biggest freaking fish outside of what I seen on. I ain't going to say what I saw on the New River last week, because I saw the biggest smallmouth. I'm going to tell you this right now. I saw a smallmouth on the New River that had shoulders, and it smacked my chatterbait. I was on chatterbait and turned the other way. But I'm gonna tell you this right now. I was on the phone because talking to Matthew Shepard, and he can tell you I about lost it, and I just couldn't get this thing to bite, and I probably wasted an hour trying to catch this thing. But it was the biggest fish. But we caught the biggest fish I've ever seen. I used, I didn't never fish really late in the evenings, and I started fishing late in the evenings, and, everybody's like, this 23 and a quarter, tell me about this 23 and a quarter, man. It was an accident catching this fish. I arrived to my spot and I was waiting for, the night bite to come on, and I then got tired, and I'm like, I don't want to, blow up my area. I don't want to throw anything over there to get them all fired up. So I decided to go just fish an area that I just thought that hey, I could throw a crankbait on and be fine and dandy. Yes, I caught her on a crankbait. And I threw over there and I had this monster pull. Well, when I seen the color of the fish, at first I thought I done caught a freaking flathead, okay? Right. Because the color crankbait I like to throw tracks catfish like it's going out of style. And I have a 26-pound flathead I caught last year on this one crankbait. But anyway, I end up catching this 23 and a quarter inch fish, which ends up becoming the largest fish, I believe, smallmouth ever measured for KBF. It won the big fish overall in the KBF. Yep. And I laid this thing on the board, and man, I'm like, is this thing ever going to stop, reading? I'm like, it's 23 and a freaking quarter. Well, this fish looks like it's been through a dryer, a wash machine. It looks rough. So I'm like, I'm shaking. I ain't lying to you. Right. So I call Chad Hoover up. Okay, and Chad ends up catching a freaking 10-pounder after he got off the phone with me. He's on the lake. And I'm like, Chad, I caught the biggest smallmouth I've ever seen in my life. And I said, what do I need to do? I said, this thing looks rough. He's like, record it, brother, get it back in the water, let it swim off. And I'm like, I'm hoping that I didn't kill this old sucker by taking all the poses and pictures with it. And,
Right.
we just, so we got, we landed to 23 and a quarter. That landed us the big fish in the summer series. And of course, put us right in competition where we end up finishing third in that series as far as the summer goes. And like I said, to have the drought and to have what we did as far as bad weather, I still put up 105 and a quarter inches in that round, and like I say, landed me third, and we was right there with everyone else as far as that goes. But now, like I said, that big fish is just a fish of a lifetime right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty positive. I was definitely the biggest smallmouth caught in the series over the 4 legs for sure. Yep. It might be the biggest smallmouth caught in KBF competition.
Chad acts like it is because
I
like Chad because he adds inches. Yeah, he adds inches to it. It's been he's did interviews. Yeah. It's been 24 and a half.
So you had in the summer of last year you had 105.25. You finished in third. Yep. Okay. Then the next leg was the fall series. You came in fifth with 101.25.
Yep.
And I think was the fall series was the one where the Canadian won, right?
Yeah, the Canadians got us. Of course, John Brooks caught big fish in it. So shout out to John for his big fish. But no, the fall. No, John actually won the fall event.
John won the fall, and the Canadian won the spring.
The Canadian won the summer. David was from Canada, I think up in the Ontario area, and then John won the fall event with I think he had 105 and 3/4. So great job out of John, and then he won big fish on that. So that's when KBF was kind of cranking it up as the U.S. versus Canada. They did a little story and all that stuff like that. So,
and for those who don't know, maybe we'll be able to get Jordan on, but to talk about Hobie Worlds, they just fished up there. The USA team, kayak team, just fished up there against like the folks from Canada and all of teams from all over the world. Australia even had a team in that event, and they were up there in Canada. And it was basically, I want to say, pretty much smallmouth. There were some largemouth caught as well, but there's some big smallmouth in Canada.
Yeah. Well, the fall tournament, what I remember about that too was that was tough for me. Even though I caught 5 citations, for it, man, it was no water. I mean, I was just looking for water all the time to go fish at. And and that's when I stumbled onto a good area that I found and was able to get me some 20s, a couple 20s to actually get up in there. But that was actually really hard on me. Actually, it was the first time that I really felt any stress am I going to crack the top 5 and or anything on that, because like I say, we was really in a drought. And so the only thing I was finding was just a lot of shorts all the time. And then that was probably the toughest leg that we had as far as the fall goes.
And then in the spring, he finished third with 102.5, and then of course in the championship, you registered 105 inches. I think with 21.25, 21.25. I think you had 2 21.25s.
I think I had 3. I actually caught the same fish twice 3 weeks apart. So one of them got DQ'd, even though I caught it on a different side of the water. But,
don't get me started on those.
That's a different conversation. But I actually caught. So I had the 21, and that leads me into the strategy. When we fished the spring series, John and I tied at 102.5. He had the bigger fish and all that stuff like that. And so I was like, all right, what am I going to have to do? Because I was figuring on a lot of these guys were still going to fish the championship, and not taking away from anyone we fished against in the championship, because we had guys that competed all the way through it and all the stuff like that. But, myself, and I know Mark King in the top 5, I know we were river guys. And I kind of went in that mind state of the championship. It's like, if I know if I can keep a 21-inch average, I think I can win this thing. And that was my goal when I started. It's like, what do I have to do to make sure that I'm out there, and do I need to stay a little bit later where I can get the bigger bite and stuff like that on it? And so that was kind of my strategy with it, was I wanted to get, 5 21s, which I didn't. I think I ended up with the 20 3/4 and a 20.5 inch fish. but having the other 21s and the quarters that I caught, gave me that 21-inch average. And, we went into the final couple of days of that tournament, with a 4-inch lead. And man, Eric, he put the pressure on me towards the end. And, he went out there and he actually caught, he cut my lead down to 1.5 inches. And then that Saturday I was fishing a slot tournament. I wasn't even fishing the last day of the tournament. And, he sent me a message and he was like, dude, I want to go ahead and just tell you, you're an absolute hammer. I want to go ahead and, congratulate you on the win. And I ain't gonna lie, I kind of got a little tears in my eyes. I'm like, I ain't gonna take it yet. I'm gonna wait, because it ain't over with and stuff like that. But, just being able to, to have a goal of catching, a 21-inch average, which is very tough to do. And that's what ended up working out for me that landed the championship. And then also too, the 21.25 was the championship's big fish for the final round as well.
Yeah, I mean that's unbelievable. Yep. I mean, I just think that people have a hard time just fathoming, that I got to average 21 inches. Yep. You know what I mean? To even have that, the average person's going. You know what I mean? But
I think the big, and not to interrupt you, but I think the biggest thing is just, we did it on the river, man. We did it. Yeah. We did this thing over all 4 stages. We did it on 5 different river systems. We got to see a lot of beautiful waters. It was good days. It was bad days. But I mean, we put the work in. We didn't just go sit and we went out and explored and hunted. And because, that's how you get better. That's how you do it. I mean, I pride myself when I just did the New River tournament. I got a top 4 finish because, the New River, I've only fished it less than 8 times really in my whole life. And, to catch citations on the New River is a goal that I feel good every time because it's not my river. It's a 2-hour drive. And, so some of the rivers we went to, we had to drive out to get to them. But that's one of the things I think that I take away the most is just all the water time, all the different rivers, all the different places that the citations come out of, and just not being, one focus on one space to get it on. So now I will say the championship, I may have worked one area really hard because I knew big ones were in there. So
right. There are definitely always those those sections. I mean, for guys from our series, I can't think, I just think it's awesome. I think we had 11 guys in the community that compete in events, whether they be monthlies or smallmouth chaser, river bass, and individual events, competed in the river series, right? Mm-hmm. You know what? And it's just like that was just great to see. You know what I mean? Because they're all smallmouth. I mean, obviously, Matt Shepard's, does incredibly well catching largemouth for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it's just like, you know what I mean? It was just great to see that everybody got involved in that and participated in that. And I posted earlier today on the Facebook page just where everybody ended up finishing, because it's just like great to see, Virginia and where it really stands up against a lot of these other places, and that's another great memories that I have as fishing with this. This wasn't always me by myself. Right.
Matt Shepard and I fished a lot together in the river series. My partner in crime is probably Mike Browning. I mean,
right.
Bless his heart, Mr. Wacky Worm himself. He's been on spots before, and he'll tell you I pulled up right behind him, and I end up throwing something and catching a citation. He just shakes his head and is like, "You get out of here," And that guy, but just to be able to the brotherhood that we've all had to support each other as well. And like I say, and then I will say the whole KBF Nation. Through all this, even though we were all trying to beat each other, like I say, the friendships, I may never even meet these guys, right. But the friendships that we've made, even though we're going against each other, we all supported each other and knew.
That's what I think that's what I think a lot of people don't get and don't see,
Yep.
when all that stuff on social media about, indicative of, I call it tribalism and stuff, but people just don't see the reality of that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That
Exactly.
People are celebrating one another and like pushing people up and, and rooting people on. But let me ask you this question, because I know there's probably people watching that may just be getting into smallmouth fishing. Okay. Or they've been doing it and, but they haven't really had, in their minds, they haven't really had success yet, So what would you say to them in terms of, so you fish 4 legs in the smallmouth. You fish 4 different times a year for smallmouth in multiple river systems. What would you say, like, your experience has been in terms of, like, what would you recommend is, like, the best time of day, like, the best condition, the most optimal condition to go out? We'll just say to go out there and catch some 16s to like 19s, right? Not necessarily, we're going to start with 20s, okay?
Yeah.
Just to go out there and, like, it's been your experience that, like, that when you see the weather like this, the water like this, and the barometric pressure like this, that you're going to be on.
Yeah. Don't waste the morning bite. I was mad at myself the other day when I fished this past Saturday because I wasted the morning bite. I saw fish jumping up. I knew an area I wanted to go try, and when I got up there and there was nothing there, after paddling freaking 2 miles up the river, don't waste the morning bite. Most of all mine, big ones, has been that morning bite. And also too, if you're looking to catch fish, just see what the type of food is out there in the water. I mean, if you see what they're, what type of, is it crayfish there? Is it a lot of minnows? I mean, what type of bait that's out that way, and just learn that, and what time fish feed. One thing I said about smallmouth feed all the time, I think. And that's one of the things that I like about smallmouth. But if I was going to tell anybody out there far to go, is get up out of the bed, and take advantage of that early bite, and I think that you will, and then don't. I'm a power fisherman, okay. One of the things that I've been blessed with is that I actually try to fish smallmouth, sometimes like largemouth. And that's one of the things that I have. So, I don't just get settled on throwing something small on them. I think smallmouth get the wrong rep, that they got a little mouth and they're not going to eat big things. And I'm going to tell you that is absolutely false. And,
like right now for like July, for the month of July, do you think guys should just stick with the topwater power game, or do you think they should slow it down? Do you think
top water until the sun comes up? I mean, when the top water to the sun comes up, then you can then that's me. I'm going to be 100% top water till the sun comes up on the water. I still will throw some top water if I'm seeing dragonflies, and if I'm seeing other type of insects, around that area, and especially if it's skinny water where you can get on something, because the water's only 1.5 feet, 2 foot, they're going to come up and bust it.
Right.
So that's me. I'm always going to start off with with that top water, and then once the top water wears out and all that stuff like that, then it's time to slow it down a little bit, and then you just give what the river gives you. So you ought to, if the water's really low, you're not going to be throwing a whole lot of crankbaits. You should be throwing your dead rig or your spinner bait or your chatter bait, whatever you feel comfortable with, or a Kayak.
Right. I mean, I think you're right. I think it all really depends on current flow, like the river you're on. I mean, I think a lot of people kind of like, don't think about that rate, that feet per second that river's moving, when it doesn't have to be high. The water levels don't have to be high. Like, I mean, we were down at the New River event. The water levels were not high, right? They were like 2.5 feet. But in certain areas, the water was moving twice as fast. You know what I mean? And so it's like, because of those ledges, right? So how do you give guys? I'm gonna get you out of here because I know you got a place you got to be.
Unfortunately, I got to.
Yeah, that's the way it is. I got trust me.
I haven't been on call for work in 6 weeks.
I hear
you. The first time I'm on call, I'm paged out, and so I got a meeting at 9 o'clock.
Give us to get you out of here. Give us your best tip on, because this always comes up, and frankly, it's like, I mean, I don't know why more. I honestly don't know why there's not more of this put out there. Okay, in terms of content, but give us your best tip on kayak positioning when you're fishing out on the river, in terms of where. Now, obviously, we know we both like to wade fish, but still, you still got to position as a wade angler, right? Like in the right area to cast. Like, give us your best tip for people in terms of where they should park their kayak, or if they're staying in their kayak, how should they approach these rivers in terms, before they even make that cast?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you an example that myself and Matt Shepard. When we decided to fish a river system, Matthew always being a largemouth guy. We decided to go chase smallmouth together one day. He catches a citation. I catch a 19. So, but anyway, smallmouth bass are chasers, in my opinion. I mean, that's what I find. So the way I position my kayak, I'm always throwing on an angle. Okay. I don't throw a lot of stuff straight ahead unless I'm throwing a top water bait or something. But as far as I go, my position in my kayak, I'm always having my kayak on some sort of an angle, throwing towards the bank and then working it back that way. And a lot of times is because reason that I do it this way is I'll throw this way, I'll throw back in the middle, I'll throw back this way. I can get 3 casts in one general area that way. So if that smallmouth doesn't want to move off of that one spot in front of me, at least then I can turn back and hit the be able to throw backwards and hit that for us.
Right.
So I'll keep my kayak kind of like this on an angle where I can get 3 throws off and then move on. So I'm not a big, just sit in a hole and throw stuff all the time at it. If you haven't bit it by 5 or 6 times, I'm moving on to another hole. Just because of my patience level. But like I say, the way I position my kayak's always on an angle because I'll try to get off 3 throws and 3 different angles in that one little controlled area so I can try to see if I can bring out the best bite off of a smallmouth and the best chase.
Is that why you tend? I know you're like me. Is that why you tend to prefer that 10-foot kayak?
Yes, because I find trying to maneuver a 12 and get it set up in position and to be very painful for me. Because I don't like to be still, I like to be moving. When I was on the New River, Mark King was right below me and I was moving around like a water bug. It's like boom, boom, boom. I got off angle shots. If I wasn't getting angle shots, throwing them off, I wasn't getting the bite, I was moving on to the next spot. So that's me. So that's why I like the 10-foot kayak because I can get it in the position that I need it to be able to, stay right there. A lot of folks see me all the time. My legs are hanging over the 10-foot. I call them my power poles. So I throw my legs over the side of it just because it keeps me slowed down a little bit. But like I say, that's how I like to do it. It works for me. Get 3 shots off in 3 different areas because we are dealing with fish that love to chase bait and that's smallmouth. And I think that's what makes it very successful for me.
All right, we got about 2 minutes left before I got to get you out of here. So I want you to because I know a lot of people watching probably are unfamiliar with Rob's rods.
Yes.
So I want you to spend 2 minutes or so, or how much time you can get out before you got to get off, and talk about these rods that are absolutely lights out rods.
Yep.
For smallmouth fishing. Obviously, people buy these rods for largemouth and everything else, but talk about.
Let me tell you, and I'll probably butcher the name because he likes to give me a hard time because there's another guy in Texas with Southern accent that gives him a hard time. But if you need to know, they're hashtag and tagged and everything. Crotalus Custom Rods. The dude loves snakes. I hate a snake. But anyway, one thing about Rob's rods itself, I was always a big Dobbins guy. I still own Dobbins, okay? Because, it's just, and I have on them. But, but one thing about him is that, he makes a type of rod that it could be partially glass. But just what he has and what he does, it'd be good to get him on here to explain that stuff like that. Yeah. But he has so much reinforcement in that because when you throw his heavy, it's almost like throwing a medium heavy. And same thing when you throw his medium heavy, it has the backbone in it to just like a medium rod. I'm telling you, it's just those rods are unbelievable. I can't do it justice by talking about but I would just tell you this. Those rods have changed my life because if I set a hook on a spinnerbait, if I set a hook on a top water bait, even all the way down to throwing with my spinning rods and everything that my hookup, it's unbelievable how the tips are, the reaction are to the baits itself. And like I say, I can't talk it up enough. You just got to come fish with me and check out the rods itself and see. But you need to give him a shout, follow him, take a look at his rods. If you're ever looking at want to get at least one custom rod done, a few of my buddies have bought them from drop shots to crankbaits. Yeah,
that's what I think Carolina it is, man.
Yep.
If you need a specialized rod, custom made for you, specifically for how you like to fish, he can freaking just set it up.
And I'm a 7 foot guy, and so with me, I don't like to cut a whole lot of lures on and off, so I have a rod made for every lure that I want to throw, and so because my reels are set up that way too, so it's also too in your reel speed, which we can get into another time, because if you're not fishing with the right reel speed, you're really losing out on catches.
Well, I'll say this: all you guys that love to fish the chatter donkey, okay, he's got a rod for the chatterbait, man.
He's got everything.
And a lot of guys, I talk to a lot of guys up here all the time who miss hookups all the time with the chatterbait, and I'm telling you, it's not the bait.
Yep.
It's the rod. Yep. And so that's where it starts.
I fell in love instantly, like say, you know, with just the power. And I mean, I notice it on my spinner baits, man. I mean, when I throw a medium heavy on the spinner bait, which feels like a medium,
right?
And they're so light. And I just noticed a difference on that spinnerbait hookup that it's unbelievable. They're not going to work because they have the backbone in it for what he does to his rods, to deliver the punch that I want. And I'm gonna tell you, when I lost a couple rods here with my accident, and I've had to go to backup rods, I've lost some fish, and I'm sitting there telling myself in mind, like, I can't wait till my new rods get here because I know I'll be catching better fish and all that stuff. So
but I mean, when you got to throw other rods, that's where you really get that appreciation for, you know what I mean? Because you really have that mentality. And I'm gonna get you out of here.
And it's probably real quick. His pricing that he has on his rods. If you're a former military, if you're any type of EMS worker, you know, policeman, any of that stuff like that, you got. His prices are exactly comparable to Dobbins rods, and he will warranty all the stuff. I'm telling you right now, you won't. Yeah. He will custom. Yeah. So like I say, hit me up. Feel free to send me a message. I'll get you in touch with it. JL will get you in touch with it as well. So I'll let you wrap us up here.
All right. I appreciate you coming on again. KBF Smallmouth Series champion. Not only that, he's also our overall Angler of the Year leader in our regional series. Just not going to win. But KBF Smallmouth Series champion. We're going to see what's going to happen. We're going to keep everybody up to date on the quest for 30. Troy's going out tomorrow. He's going to be live, I guess.
I might go live. I might go. No, if I go live, it'll be on Facebook. I have to see if I want to go live or not. So maybe I'll just go live with Tony Bryan or whatever. I'm not sure. But I just want to
comedy hour.
Let me just tell you. I just want to say thank you to everybody that tuned in tonight. That's just supported me from the bottom of my heart. I really, really thank you so much. I thank you, JL, because like I say, you and I met by doing, a charity tournament that you didn't catch a stinking fish on.
Not a single one.
But we almost won that stinking thing because of all them catch. But anyway, thank you for the coverage. Thank you everyone for supporting me. Anything I can do for anybody at all, please do not. Because like I say, once we get these trophies in, I can't wait I'm going to be like the Stanley Cup. I'm going to take them out and I'm showing them to everybody. So,
well, I know. We'll see what happens. I know everybody's busy this summer, but hopefully you'll bring those trophies to the next event you can make it to for our series, and we can get everybody can check them out and celebrate with you. Because I mean, everybody is absolutely ecstatic that you got this championship. We knew you were going to do it, but we also know how competitive it is. You know what I mean? And that's just the reality. But
and my dad, love you, Dad. I know you're watching, so I love you. I at least want to tell him that too. So,
thank
you for taking me fishing when I was young.
That's right. All right, go get your work done.
Hey, I got to go to work, but thank you guys.
All right, man. I appreciate you coming on.
All righty.
All right, there you have it. Troy Wines, your 2024, I guess, Smallmouth series champion with 105 inches, guys. 105 inches to win that event, which is absolutely crazy. If you think about it, given the conditions that we've seen in the region in the last month and a half to 2 months, absolutely outstanding. He's an absolute stick, absolute hammer, and more importantly, an absolute great guy. And hit him up. He's not lying. If you send him a message and ask him about smallmouth fishing, he'll talk to you. He'll walk you through and get you that information, especially on rods and kayaks and baits and all that good stuff. Again, he is sponsored by Tactical Fishing Company, Cortalis Custom Rods, Tiger Crankbaits, Fish Hog. Hopefully I'm not leaving anybody else out. You know, and you can check him out on his socials. Troy Bassin' Around is his fishing page. Troy Wines is his personal page if you need to contact him. I didn't mention in the stream, but he also just won the June Roanoke Division Monthly, which ended at 8. All submissions had to be in by 8 o'clock tonight. He finished in first place with 103.75 inches. So he has actually added another victory. If you're interested in checking out his journey for the last 2 years on Tourney X, you can go to Tourney X and you can look at the Smalley Chaser River Bassin series, open up an event, find Troy's profile, click on Troy's profile, and it'll take you to his Tourney X statistics, and you can see the journey. The journey is right there. The journey from Yackers for Smallies, the journey from Bass Cast, the journey from monthlies and MAKBF to now the new Smalley Chaser River Bassin series, and KBF is on Fishing Chaos. You can do the same thing. So if you're interested in seeing all that and looking at the fish that he caught, I mean, a 23.25 smallmouth is absolutely sick, guys. Okay. But he's got tons of citations. He's on that quest for 30. We're going to touch back with him probably in the fall and get him back on and see where he's at in the quest. And then hopefully maybe with him, we can get somebody from the Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources on that has a special biologist that has a specialty in smallmouth. And we can talk a little bit about what all this means, right? The fish are getting, I firmly believe we're going to see that smallmouth state record in the state of Virginia go down here in the next 2 years. These 20-inch fish are only going to get bigger, okay? And so we're likely going to see that record fall here in the next 2 years. And it'll be great if it falls with one of our river smallies. All right, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget, like and subscribe, share the stream on your socials. Go and like Troy Bassin' Around's page so I can check you out and so I can get you into the giveaway, the random drawing giveaway for this right here, this SK5000. It's a pretty killer reel. These are pretty killer. They're inexpensive reels, guys. You know what I mean? You can get, I mean, they're like $40, $40, $45. A lot. They're very, very comparable to the mid-range Cast Kings. Okay, you know, if you're familiar with that, but for $40, $45, you can go now and you can get them probably for half of that now. It's a great starter reel for people if you want to give them as a gift to your son, to your daughter, to whoever. I mean, they're just really good basic reels. And then also we got our 6 cents giveaway. I'll take care of that random. Just like, subscribe tonight. Share the stream, like Troy Bassin' Around. We'll get you in the random drawings. You can go to the Facebook page, JL Scott Fishing and Eats, and I'll announce the winners over there on Facebook. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I'll see you next time. We got a lot of stuff going on. The Smalley Chaser River Bassin series is on the Upper Potomac on July 20th and 21st for a 2-day event with a team component. We will be camping on the river. So if you're interested in joining a Smalley Chaser community and come out to an event, stay with us riverside. You can fish the Shenandoah, portions of the Shenandoah. You can fish the Upper Potomac. You can fish Monocacy. You can do all that stuff. Have a great time. Meet new people. Celebrate one another. A little fellowship and all that brotherhood. And you come out and fish with us, and you'll have a great time. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I'll see you guys next time.